tries to mug you? What? What if your government tries to throw you in a can? What? You're gonna want a shotgun. Oh. What? An automatic rifle and a lot of ammo. Good.
We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They'll burn you out like you Waco. They'll stick your ass in a camp. 10-footed cops in riot gear, gonna kick your ass and laugh. The revolution is on its way. Better lock and load your AK. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They gave your money to the banksters. They stole your pension funds. It's time that we took to the streets. It's time we had our turn. A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. You gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta drag 'em through the streets.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and goys, it is Tuesday. We are live. This is PrimerTime on UCY.tv. My name is Michael, and I leaked nothing to the Russians.
My name is Nicholas, and I haven't leaked anything since it came out of my nose.
You know what? That post-nasal drip. Tell you, I think
That
that's
is,
the same
it,
shit.
it's
That same-
it's Go ahead,
it's
man.
killer. It got Vince Foster. It's the same
Yeah.
shit that got Vince
Yeah,
Foster.
I think it got Ron Brown too.
I believe so. Post-nasal blood drip. That's
Yeah.
what got Ron Brown.
With the slight aviation discharge.
Yeah, just to make sure, right? Because the 45 caliber bullet through that man's skull was not enough, so they had to crash the plane too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean,
interesting time in America in the last 48 hours.
yeah. So we'll start off with the obvious. You have the Fox 5 out of DC, so the affiliate from Fox out of DC, went ahead and posted up a story on their page that said former DNC staffer Seth Rich had been in contact with WikiLeaks.
And that kind of violates the Russian narrative. And interestingly enough, the minute that story comes out, within an hour, we get the story from the Washington Post that states the President of the United States is giving classified information. And this kind of turns into a great big story because, number one, he's the President of the United States. He can declassify anything he wants to at his whim. He doesn't even have to pick up a pen. There's no teleprompter involved. There's no executive order. All he has to do is pick it up and read it, or send it out by Twitter.
Yeah, the funny thing is that he's not gonna declassify information. What he can do is he can vouch for people to be given access. So you're right. The story comes out within an hour of it. It comes out of the Washington Post, right? Interestingly enough, as soon as that story breaks, a Washington Post staff writer tweets out that the entire newsroom launched into a cheer as soon as that story posted.
Well, that's very interesting. Now, let's talk about what info is supposedly being given. It's not the nuclear launch codes.
No.
JFK,
This has to do with the Syria and the Iraq.
And the Iraq and the ISIS.
Yes.
And apparently,
for our U.S. American friends that don't have access to a map.
listen, such as
we love Miss South Carolina.
Miss South Carolina rocks. She's a hero. Truly, I worship at her.
I tell you what, if they would have had her come out with the swimsuit portion of that competition, if she would have come out with the Rebel War Banner bikini, she would have won. She would have won.
Yes, but she would have used me. She would have made a T banner instead of an X. So yeah.
Hey, she didn't have access to a globe such as.
Somebody had taken her map.
Yeah.
So we've got this information that Trump is supposedly, sneaking to the Russians, and it has to do with the Iraq and the Syria and the ISIS. And apparently, Russia has already acted upon this information and prevented an airliner bombing. Now,
it's not like it's within the recent history for the Russians to lose an airliner, like say out of Egypt, maybe.
I would dare say that's quite accurate. I think that was a Coke can bomb or something like that. And I mean, we are in the age where you have to have, you can't carry a gun on a plane, God forbid. You have to get groped, you have to get nudie scanned before you get on a plane. Got to take off your shoes. So yeah, I think he acted in like the general interest of humanity. If he knew that passing on this information would stop something, and apparently it did stop some sort of airliner bombing. In I don't know where it was, but Russia acted on it, and airliner bombing has been stopped. Now we get into some other very, very interesting stories. And remember, CNN has not reported a goddamn word about the Seth Rich thing, and they are pushing that Trump is giving away classified information all day.
Well, see, and that's interesting, because when Hillary Clinton gives away classified information, say to her non-U.S. citizen maid, that's not an issue,
right? Or if the information goes with Huma Abedin, the supposed high priestess of the Islamic Front, who just happens to be married to the most stereotypical pervert Jew on the face of the planet. I mean, the dude's the
not just pervert. I mean, you got to give him credit. He is a pedophile.
That's true. He's got a specialty.
Yeah, and that's what we would call it. We would call it in education. He's got a minor.
Right. So you've got this situation going on, and apparently this information that Trump passed to the Russians came from Israel.
Yeah. To which Israel has since responded, saying that they may no longer share information with us.
I think at that point, we should no longer share cash with them. We should no longer share a goddamn thing with them. We should have not shared a goddamn thing with them a long time ago. I mean, we are coming up on the 50th anniversary of the US's Liberty bombing. So, I mean, not to go there, but now you have 5 high-placed Republicans that they're not giving names, but apparently they went and spoke with the Israelis and said, please do not give us any more information. I would dare say those 5 high-placed Americans are now traitors. And I would dare guess that would be Lindsey Graham, probably McCain, probably Paul Ryan, probably Tom Cotton, and I guess like Orrin Hatch or somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, the only time they roll Orrin Hatch out is when they need like a flag burning amendment.
So welcome to the suck, people, because you live in the USA. This is your government is controlled by Israel. Your media is controlled by Israel. That's the way it is.
Well, I think that some people are coming around. You take a look at a little bit of influence in the form of gun control. Let's talk about former His Honor Bloomberg and the little bit of strife they're having in the Everytown for Gun Safety organization.
Let's go with our favorite Madam of Safety, Ms. Shannon Watts, who apparently is such an evil, crazy woman that she's causing the poor Hebrews to make an exodus from.
Damn it, not again.
Yeah, I'm telling you. They're gonna make a holiday for this. So I guess she's apparently causing some sort of exodus diaspora from Mothers Against Everything, and she's a crazy woman. But I mean, like we've seen that. We've seen that they are crazy people. We've seen that Mayors Against Everything, which is another Bloomberg, or was it Mayors Against Illegal Guns? How many mayors from that have either resigned from it, saying that I never said I'd be a part of this, or were incarcerated for homosexual rape at gunpoint? They underage homosexual rape at gunpoint, right? I mean,
Right.
Wasn't there one mayor that got arrested for making some 16-year-old boy put a gun to his head and made him downstairs kneel down kind of a,
so we have think about it this way. A town that you and I have lived very close to, Seattle, has recently had the mayor who has been accused by 4 different men who are now
he said
age of majority, but said that this guy had accessed them for use of services while they were young and impressionable. The mayor himself is homosexual and has had to abandon his attempt to to be reelected in Seattle. So Seattle is obviously a city that would have been under the guns, the Mayors Against Illegal Guns.
Absolutely, and we look at recent laws passed in Washington. They're on the verge of having a magazine ban. They've got a city tax on firearms and ammunitions in the city of Seattle. I don't know if it's also in King County or if it's just in the city. They're rivaling San Francisco and Alameda County for the amount of restrictions they can put on a gun shop, and they've also got mandatory background checks, which it seems to be the latest trend. And everywhere that it's passing, it's failing. We've seen it pass in Oregon, and the sheriff has come out and said, several sheriffs have come out, and the attorney general has come out and said that it's unenforceable. And we've seen the exact same thing happen in Nevada, and the Nevada attorney general coming out and saying that it's unenforceable. There's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to come up with the most current list of folks such as mayors that are, either signed on to or, have become part of the Mayor Against Illegal Guns. But there hasn't been anything updated since 2014. It's kind of interesting, right?
That would mean, to me, that's kind of a red flag. And, speaking of red flags, I got to go back to the Seth Rich thing, because I really think that it's being covered up. And honestly, let's look at the Seth Rich circumstances, right? So the report is he's shot in a robbery where no robbery occurred,
or a supposed robbery.
A supposed robbery where no wallet or no watch is taken, and apparently he had substantial amount of cash, and he didn't wear a swatch. He didn't have like a $12 Casio on his wrist. He had a nice watch.
Sure.
So you've got somebody near and dear, a family member of the DNC, who's murdered in quote unquote gun violence. This man should be the poster boy for the Democratic National Committee gun control campaign. Wouldn't you think so?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part.
I mean, here he is, a patriotic American working to better the nation, and he's killed by, random, handgun violence.
And not only that, he is working for the campaign of the anointed one, the one who will break the glass ceiling and make things right within the world.
It's her turn.
It was owed to her.
So you've got this guy who's potentially the poster boy. He could have changed his name to Sandy Hook, and I'll tell you what, not a fucking word comes out about it.
Yeah.
That right there should tell you that this whole thing is stinky.
Oh yeah, yeah. So the interesting thing is that you get the equivalent of Sandy Hook every 3 days in Chicago, and nobody says anything.
Not a word. Not a word.
Mhm. So doesn't that just stink of racism and marginalizing your fellow man? I mean, these are the tenets that these people should be against, right? I mean, that's what they said.
Really want to get into what's racism? We should take a look at the cities of Cleveland and the cities of Akron and the cities of what city was it? What was the city in Florida where Orlando?
There you go. Yeah.
The shooting at Orlando Gay Nightclub, and it's nonstop news, video 24/7, bleeding heart interviews, tweets out the ass. Nonstop. Don Lemon put on his hair shirt and cried for everybody.
Yep. There you go.
In the past month, we have had 3 shootings in Cleveland and in Akron that were at bars and had very similar numbers, albeit lower, but very similar numbers. And we've had 3 of these incidents in the last month. Have you heard about any of those?
And no, you will not.
And it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder why does the the shoot 'em up of the gay bar get all the massive coverage, and the shoot 'em up of the black bars? Because in reality, that's what it was. It was shootings at black bars. They were black after hours clubs, and there's no coverage of that. So that tells me 2 things. Number one, there is an inherent racism in the party that appears to stand for tolerance and acceptance of everything. There's an inherent, like more than the bigotry of the soft bigotry of low expectations. There's an actual racist element to it, the very racism they decry. And number 2, the stuff they promote is fake.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, I'm to the point now where I think if it's said on the news, it's the exact opposite.
90% of it would be.
I'd say the only thing they give you actual real information on is sports scores.
And maybe not even that.
Yeah, maybe not. Because at some point they're going to start reporting on professional wrestling on the news. So
yeah, and even then, that's just entertainment.
So I don't know, but there's a couple other things going on in the firearms world right now. And one of the more interesting things, and this pops up from time to time, is the United States military and its supporting people and their constant desire to change calibers. And right now we are looking at a couple different caliber swaps and caliber additions or evaluations that are going on. And one is to upgrade from the M4 and 5.56 to a 6.5 or .268 cartridge. And well, Nick, you're somebody who deals with that round quite a bit and has in the past, and beyond the visceral effect of when you pull the trigger, what that bullet does. And I mean, we've had the discussion about, bullet design and all that before, and how that actually affects, the performance of the round and, like the popular opinions of it. But let's talk about like the real issue of this. And
so let me just give you a little bit of background. So let me give you a little bit of a background. Okay, so we have the M2 Browning, which is our standard heavy machine gun. We've had it since World War I, and something that's obviously been in the inventory since World War I and is still continuing to be used as a primary crew served weapon system today. that should tell you something. There ain't a whole lot wrong with it. Okay.
Right.
Uh, as a matter of fact, one of the longest, and the farthest distance engagements by a trained sniper in Afghanistan, I believe, was a Canadian soldier using an American M2 round, and was able to kill two Taliban at over, I think, 1.5 miles away. So
Yeah, it was like
you know,
it's like 2.2 kilometers or some shit like
yeah,
that.
it was quite an engagement. Um, when they asked the sniper about taking the shots, he said, I took the first shot. It was off a little bit. I was able to make my adjustment, and with the addition of using the American round in his Canadian rifle, he was able to go ahead and hit those targets, and they didn't even react to the first miss. So, there ain't a whole lot wrong with it. But going into it, they're talking about moving into the 338 Norma. Uh, there's a story that I will go ahead and link into the chat. And basically, they want to go ahead and take a look at 338 Norma. I've heard 338 Lapua, a couple other calibers thrown around for the heavy machine guns, but now they're actually talking about looking at the medium and the light machine guns. So moving, lightweight versus what a light machine gun is. You would figure a light machine gun would be the M249 saw that still fires the same 5.56 round. Now, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make a lightweight, heavy caliber. So, the system itself is going to have reduced weight, but it's still going to have to be, structurally sound enough to be able to handle the Magnum cartridges.
And Magnum cartridges for a military perspective are, well, I think that's not necessarily a good move. I mean, we've got several rounds that have a track record and are, I mean, even outside of military use, in police use and in the civilian world for hunting. And these are well established and a myriad of bullet designs. I think it's another exercise in wasting money, just like the whole thing about the military, investigating whether or not we're going to go back to 45 or we're going to go back to, we're going to switch it up and go to 40 caliber or 357 SIG or whatever. No, no. I mean, how do you convince, the British Army that, just finally, transitioned away from Browning high powers after, what is it, 70 years, and they moved to Glocks? How do you convince them to now you're going to have to convert to 40 caliber, a round that's, basically non-existent in Europe?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is that what would be the catalyst to do that? So the round itself would have to offer some kind of increased performance, increased lethality, or increased cost savings. And I think that's what the ultimate decision lies upon is how much of a cost savings is changing out to this round going to do?
I would dare say none. I would dare
Yeah, I
say
mean, that's
absolutely
all
zero
that's
cost
all to be
savings.
seen. The story here says that the company ultimately crafted a 24-pound machine gun with a 24-inch barrel firing 338 Norma Magnum with a sustained rate of fire of 500 rounds per minute. You do 500 rounds per minute in most rifles, you're going to need to change out a barrel pretty quick.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, but I mean that's its theoretical cyclical rate. I'm sure they've got a 500 round built or whatever that they test these kind of things on. But I mean that's not actual real world use. But what really gets me is just, I mean, it's almost like throwing good money after bad in researching these things. We've got bullets that stop people cold now.
Yeah.
They work fine. There's a billion. If nothing else, the United States makes some of the best ammunition that's available in the world. We make the most varieties of ammunition, and especially for
Because we're about
calibers
inclusiveness.
that's right. We tolerate all bullet
We
designs
like
here.
diversity.
So I mean, we've got a myriad of bullet designs that can be easily adapted into the current manufacturing system at almost a negligible cost. It's just a change in supply, really, for the same actual manufacturing process. And we don't have to worry about convincing the rest of NATO to change their shit to meet ours. And isn't like that the point of NATO? So we have people to share ammo with. That's like the whole point of it.
It's not so much to share. It's the logistics aspect of it, is so that it can be produced in multiple places and have the same standard features.
Right. And I mean, that's so if we have to go and save the French or, push the Russians out of the Fulda Gap or whatever, we can go and we can pick up ammunition made in France and put it in our guns and use it.
Yep. So I
think it's just fiscal irresponsibility is really what it comes down to in the end.
Yeah. Well, and do you want to be the House of Representatives member who goes to Congress and says, "No, thank you. I don't need an enhanced contract for my frickin' district."
At some point, somebody's going to have to step up and say it. And I mean, we got to look at somebody like Ron Paul. And to be honest with you, I live in what was Ron Paul's district, and you've been here. And straight up honest, this is probably one of the poorest places in the United States.
Oh, certainly.
Thank you for agreeing with me that I live in poverty.
It's not that you live in poverty. It is not an affluent area.
Absolutely not affluent.
So when you talk about what Middle America is, Middle America certainly covers your portion of Texas.
Right. We are a flyover country, but this is Ron Paul's district, and we suffer, and honestly, because he's the only person who stood up and didn't take pork barrel projects for his district because stood on his principles and all that. We suffer for that. We don't have the infrastructure that comes with these great big massive bridge to nowhere style products or projects. So yeah, I mean, I think for shit to change here, everybody's going to have to suck it in and, take a little bit of the bite of the shit sandwich. But I don't know, man. How are you going to convince people to take a bite of the shit sandwich when we got 99-cent, GMO burgers, at the drive-thru?
And that's the thing, because the biggest thing is how can everybody do anything that doesn't negatively affect them, and how can you get them motivated to do something that's going to affect them?
I think there's got to be the fear of that they either take the little bite of the shit sandwich or they end up getting like the family pack of, poop soup.
Yeah. Oh, well. Comrade Jerome is going to make sure that everybody gets an equal dose.
That's right. Comrade Cletus will be right there to help you read the handbook.
to divest yourself of unnecessary accoutrement.
to help you just stop your bourgeois ways.
There you go. So hey, we have another gun buyback alert.
Awesome. What city can we send value shoppers to now?
Los Angeles.
Ah, fuck. I guess we can't send no value shoppers there.
Yeah, so the city of Los Angeles last Saturday collected guns, part of its annual No Questions Asked buyback program, which is, of course, a euphemism for confiscation. So the marks were actually given $100 Target gift cards. So not only are we going to take your guns and give you something that doesn't even resemble the value of what you're giving up, but we're going to give you money to go spend at the store that allows folks to go into the bathroom of their choice, not corresponding to the gender that they portray.
I think that's awfully bigoted against the other 70 genders that you.
Well, not only that. Well, here's the kicker: those selling assault rifles qualified for a $200 gift card.
LOL. LOL.
LOL. And this was at Figueroa Street in South Los Angeles.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I'm sure they got all kinds of gangbangers turning in their gats.
I'm sure. And then the other one, which is very close and near and dear to your heart and mine, on Sepulveda Boulevard in Mission Hills.
Oh my God! So all right, so does he give a total of what was confiscated or anything?
So that's the one bit of info that is not
Shucks.
included in the
Shucks,
story.
we just didn't get that info, folks. But you can imagine that they got a good number of assault rifles and baby killing machines. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
they
They said that
got,
it was this year's turn-in was complete with a military grade rocket launcher.
awesome.
So
Somebody turned in
somebody
a
turned in an
huge
RPG 7.
law.
Yeah, somebody turned in a Hughes Law or an RPG 7.
Oh my God. All right. So, all right. If you live in a free state there and there's a gun buyback, I suggest you spike it. I suggest you go and you try and buy off of the people who are going, they're stupid enough to turn in their guns. Or I say, go and you buy a bunch of BB guns and shit, and you just go in and turn them in.
Oh,
You know, you make some pipe slam fire pipe shotguns, make some zip guns. You know, fuck, they don't even have to work.
in
They
your
look like a
locations
gun.
where zip guns are legal, we wouldn't encourage
You know,
people to break the law.
I never. You found those. You found those in the park, man. You're just trying to get them away.
At the bottom of the lake.
I think I personally think you're a hero for turning in all those zip guns you found in the park, keeping them away and looking out for the safety, and also for turning in that 88 Magnum.
There you go.
Not dangerously gun, you fargan ice holes.
Yeah, man. So the interesting thing is, gosh, here it is, almost Memorial Day, right? So if you happen to have driven by a national cemetery in the last week, you've probably witnessed some soldiers going out and putting flags at the headstones of former service members who are interred at the national cemeteries. Just a public announcement. Go ahead and visit your nearby, national cemetery if you can. San Francisco has a huge one. Los Angeles has a huge one out in the West Coast. Every state has a very, very large veteran cemetery that the state itself runs. But there's a couple of national cemeteries, and then coming out to the East Coast, of course, you have Arlington. If you've never seen a Memorial Day cemetery ceremony at the cemeteries, it's something that you should at least do once. Take a pause and view with solemn reverence, just to see what it is that actual sacrifice looks like. So that's my soapbox for today.
Probably want to be one of those one of the more somber moments of a person's life. Man, and it should make you reflect on not only the sacrifice that the people who passed went through, but it should also make you realize the goddamn treachery that the people in office are willing to put more people through.
Oh, certainly.
Because they are. Yeah. They look. We're at a point in this country where the only thing that makes money is war, and if we don't make war, they're going to turn off the dollar.
Oh yeah, and think about it this way. We just had that conversation today about the Washington Post story that brought up North Korea and U.S. Americans' ability to find that country on a map, and the correlation to those who would be willing to engage in war with North Korea should they be able to find it. What did you think of that?
I found it to be all right. I got to say that it was interesting, and it was almost it was very propagandish and almost kind of more of this look at the hillbillies in the flyover states kind of a thing. I think if there's any kind of truth to that study, I would say it's a testament to the power of propaganda.
Yeah. So my correction is that it was the New York Times.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Yeah.
So yeah.
Well.
So actually.
It was the New York Times. There you go.
Yeah. So having been probably one of very few people who's ever done a DMZ tour and stepped foot across the DMZ into North Korea while being protected by the giant blue UN Armistice Commission buildings, I think I know where North Korea is on a map. I don't think it's that hard of a place to find, actually. Is it?
I mean, it's not like it's one of those itty bitty, like Middle East countries, or one of the multitude of African countries that looks like a puzzle or something like that. No. This is and I mean, for Christ's sakes, we had a major war that, honestly, technically ain't over.
No, it's not technically. It ain't over. It ain't over. So check this out. I'll give you a breakdown of what the demographics were for folks who could actually find it. Out of all adults sampled, only 36% could. Then
Oh,
you
gee.
break that down by gender. Men found it 45% of the time, and women found it 27% of the time. So obviously we have some inequality in the genders right there. We need to get more women involved in geography, um, or current
I
events
support
that,
map
that
for
don't
women.
involve that don't involve the Kardashians. Um,
I
Democrats,
support map for women.
yeah. So surprisingly, Democrats were only 31% able to find it, while Republicans were at 37. And I would say the most interesting thing was independents were able to find it 39% of the time.
Hmm.
So, so this is the Democratic Party, the party of the enlightened and the educated, right?
Oh,
And
this is the intelligentsia.
there you go. So, by education, if you had a postgraduate degree and you took the survey, 53% of the time you could find it. Well, Jesus Christ, I would hope so. You spent quite a long time in school. I should hope you should be able to find it on a map. Most 18 to 22-year-olds with no college and only the first assignment in the Republic of South Korea could find North Korea if you put them in front of a map. So and then again by age, from the age of 18 to 29, found it 37% of the time. The ages 45 to 54 only found it 25% of the time. And then of course 65 and up know where it's at 48% of the time because a good portion of those people were there. And then
I I'm in that. What was
the
the
40
my age
the
range?
yeah, 45 to 54 was the lowest performing age category.
God damn it! What is wrong with these people? I mean, for Christ's sakes, for seriously. It's not
Well,
like I
so
tried to ask you to find Uzbekistan or something like that.
true story. I have been there too. Shout out to my homies in Termez. Uh, yeah,
you you are a world traveler. Thank
I
you for the
am.
government's
I am.
time.
So yeah, but you know what the kicker is? They also threw in a question to round out the poll, which was, "Have you ever visited another country?" 26% of the respondents said no. You've got a quarter of the people sampled that have never stepped foot outside the United States. And I hate to bring up Miss South Carolina again, but most U.S. Americans don't own a map.
Well, and but that's almost that's almost deceptive in its in its presentation there, because like let's take a look at a state like Texas. All right, now if I want to go to Houston, I'm an hour and a half away from Houston. All right, if I want to go to San Antonio, I'm about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from San Antonio. I want to go to Dallas, I'm 6, 7 hours away from Dallas. I want to go to El Paso. Why the hell would I want to go to El Paso? I'm an all day drive.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I mean,
El
I'm
Paso
nine
is like a
hours.
geographic
So,
oddity. It's almost 2.5 weeks from anything.
dude, and it's in another time zone on top of that.
Yeah,
But
it is its
so
own portion of
if you take
the
and you put somebody in the middle of Europe and you have them drive in one direction for an hour, or an hour and a half, there's a good chance they're going to cross the border.
Yeah, certainly they're going to be, and lo and behold, if you live in a place like Luxembourg, you're certainly going to be able to probably go through two different places.
And that's just in an hour and a half. So let's take a look at like a 9 hour drive across Europe, and let's start at let's start in Portugal. Where the hell you end up in 9 hours? On a highway in Europe. You know, starting out in Portugal and heading east. Where you end up in 9 hours?
So if you're going east in 9 hours, chances are you're going to be well across France, and you are possibly going to be into Germany. You should make it as far as probably Belgium, maybe the Netherlands. If you decide to kind of hook right, you can be in Italy, Austria, or Switzerland.
Right.
France is a big place, folks.
Yeah, well, France is kind of like almost similar size as Texas. So you look at that, and I mean, you've crossed three different places. I mean, I want to get to San Antonio, dude. Like,
Well, you would have
looks like
actually
it's
crossed four
Fort Stockton.
because because we've got that nice little principality called, you know, where what is it? The one that's in between Spain and France.
Oh, are they a principality now, or I thought that was all taken care of in that? And
Oh no, 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 no. That's the
do
one
they
right
get their
there
own shit?
in the Pyrenees.
Did they get? Are they their own little sovereign thing now?
Andorra, that's the name of the place. Yes,
Yeah,
they
but
they are
they're not. They
sovereign.
don't have their own. They got their own flag.
Oh yeah,
Because
oh yeah,
that's all it counts is you got to have a flag.
oh yeah, oh yeah. It's all good, and yep, Andorra la Vella. So it is its own country.
So I mean, it's almost deceptive to say that Americans have never been anywhere just because we live in a country that's rather large, you know.
Yeah,
And honestly, you drive across a couple states on the East Coast, and shit, each one of them is like a different country.
yeah. Well, and the interesting thing is, you go through Europe. So, for example, you drive in the States. If you're in the contiguous United States, you're not going to pass through any other sovereign nations unless you happen to go through an Indian reservation, which still belongs to the United States, right?
Right.
In
Well, because we got the planes that'll bomb the shit out of them if they get rowdy.
hey, that and the fire water, and we'll keep those guys under control.
Listen up, wagon burners. You people settle down.
Yeah. So when you go through Europe, there's quite a good chance that you're going to go through enclaves of other countries which are within the borders of a larger country. So say take for example Spain. Spain not only has its enclaves in Africa with Ceuta and Melilla, but you also have an enclave in France. You've got lots of opportunity to see what an enclave looks like in Kaliningrad, which is a part of Russia, but it's further separated from the Russian motherland because it's over there in the Baltics. It's their only, basically it's a frost-free port, and yeah, that used to be a port of Poland. And when the Soviets moved in, they said, you know what, we'll take this. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I feel bad for the Polish people. They get not only do they get to be the butt of jokes, but like every time a world war rolls around, they get their asses kicked right in the middle of it.
It ain't for lack of trying, though. It ain't for lack of trying. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. And when you try and say, hey, I want to get from one place to the other, if you're going to try and drive across Texas, that's at least a 14-hour drive.
Oh shit! I mean, look, you just for me to go to Walmart, like back and forth to Walmart, man, that's an hour and a half, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
but at least it's a good Walmart.
That's the close Walmart. If I want to go to the good Walmart, I mean, shit, I'm going to put 150 miles on my truck, just going to the good Walmart. So,
yeah. So the interesting thing here is, like I said, it's the middle of May. God, I can't believe that already. We went from, I think we were in the 60s last week due to the rain. The rain let up on Sunday, and we have been in the 80s since yesterday and today.
I haven't had the rain, and you know what? I'm good with that because there's no mosquitoes right now, and the humidity is very low. So
the only thing, and like I said, I have noticed since we've moved, and like I said, that's why I've been in and out for the last couple of weeks as we're getting the new Ponderosa established, is that we have not had a bloom of mosquitoes yet, and I am very thankful.
That's what I'm all happy about. If we could GMO something that ate mosquitoes, I'd be all for it.
Yeah. So some kind of fly trap.
With the advent of nice weather, we're coming up on some outdoor shooting time, and I'll tell you what, something I've noticed and other people noticed, and I got a photo from a good friend of the show and my personal friend, Captain Gringo, sent me a picture. He was at an academy, and they had bucket of bullets, the 1400 and whatever it is, 1440 round bucket of Remington Golden bullet. They not only had one bucket, not only two, not three, but this picture had 9 buckets in it. And I went and visited the same retailer, same big box retailer that he took his picture at, in a different city. And they actually had the 22 long rifle on the shelf where you could grab it. It's not behind the shelf anymore. And it wasn't all Agula. There was CCI, and there were CCI Stingers. There were mini mags. There was Remington Golden Bullet was there. There was Winchester Super X and Winchester Wildcat. In addition to the Agile. So it looks like kind of like the 22 long rifle glut is gone. I even saw a 22 long rifle at Walmart. But Walmart's price appeared to be a little bit, I'll say a good 20% more than what I recall paying for ammunition, pre-Sandy Hook crapola. And they didn't have quite the selection that they had before. But Walmart had it here. So it should be returning to everybody sometime soon. So keep fingers crossed. Gander Mountain. What do you think about Gouger Mountain going out of business?
I think they're a product of their own greed. So their current situation.
Yeah,
the current situation was easily avoidable. I'll tell you what. We just took a trip out to Coal Country, Pennsylvania, and I must have passed at least 7 or 8 Gander Mountains on the way there. Every single one of them has the going out of business yellow sign on it, and I think after the first week that they had that up, none of the parking lots are completely full with like people trying to make purchases.
Because Gouger Mountain's big problem was they were above and beyond in pricing for firearms and ammunition. You can get all the other crap anywhere. Where people go to these big outdoor stores are for firearms and the ammunition. They were completely overpriced, and in the liquidation, 70% off, leading line, firearms and ammunition are not included in that.
Yeah, of course. So that's yeah.
And from another report from our roving field reporter, the good Captain Gringo, he went to the Gander Mountain that's up near his neck of the woods, and he said that the deal was boots, 50% off the boots. He said everything else was still kind of expensive.
Yeah. And I think that's what people are doing. They're trying to get out there and find that one thing they need to complete their hunting get up, and they're not being successful. So why even bother going?
Well, I'll tell you, it's becoming a kind of a tenuous time for the brick and mortar stores, and another retailer that looks like they might be having some kind of issues is Palmetto State. The only reason I say that is because Palmetto State is having some good deals right now, and these are like what I would almost consider to be closeout deals. The other day, this one blew my mind. It was 3 of their Freedom Series AR-15s, which is Palmetto State's own line of AR-15, and it's a very bare bones. I believe it is mil spec, but it's their lowest end rifle. That's not polymer, and you could buy 3 of those and 3 lowers to build 3 other whatever you wanted out of them for $999.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's halfway affordable.
That comes out to be, look, we just go back to the, Sandy Hook rush, and people were paying $2,200 for an AR-15. So, no problem.
Yeah. Well, there you go. $1,500 get you every part of the AR you want to go ahead and switch out and put something else on with it, anyways.
I don't know. I find that to be interesting. All right, so let's hit some firearm safety. You want it?
Yeah, go ahead. Light it up.
All right. First rule of firearm safety is every firearm is loaded until you physically and visually ensure that the chamber is not loaded. Rule number 2 is keep the barrel pointed in a safe direction. Do not cover anything you do not wish to destroy. Rule number 3, know what's your target, know what's beyond your target at all times. And the most important rule, probably once again, should be the first rule, but we save it for the end because it's like way dramatic and shit. But keep the booger hook off the bang switch until you are ready to discharge the weapon. There are no accidental discharges; they are all negligent discharges. So
yeah, and like I said, again, the story of the gun just going off has gone out in a small rural town in Central Virginia called Orange. Report on the news today was a 2-year-old in the home of a licensed in-home daycare provider has fatally injured herself due to a firearm being left in an accessible location. So the actual story said that the 2-year-old accessed the firearm and the gun went off. Not that the gun had a trigger pulled, but that the gun somehow mysteriously sought out the 2-year-old to kill her.
Well, this is why we have gun buybacks.
Yep. Think of the children.
Just almighty. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like a 2-year-old's like 5 foot tall and like get on top of the microwave or something. I mean,
Nope.
where do you leave a gun that a 2-year-old can get at it?
Well, what? So obviously, my guess is that this is, probably something that already had a round chambered if it was a semi-automatic and did not have a safety engaged, or possibly with
some sort of single action with the hammer back, because I don't
exactly
see a 2-year-old being able to pull a double action trigger.
I don't see that either. So I mean, like I said, that argument is going to rear its head again as far as mandating people to go out and have a safe to store their firearms in. Is it inconvenient for you to have to access your firearm through a safe? Yeah, probably. Will it help mitigate such incidents from happening? Possibly. But you know what? If you teach your kids not to touch something that doesn't have a positive outcome, a lot of times, when children access it, that goes the same thing for hard drugs. It goes the same thing for alcohol. It goes the same thing.
We here at PrimerTime do not advocate putting your child's hand on the stove to prove to him that it is hot.
Yeah, that's no bueno. So yeah,
we are a burn-free people here. I promote fire safety
in all aspects.
I still can't believe I did that. He's a moron.
Yeah, well,
the thing that pisses me off is I knew better than that, man.
Well, that's like the first time I wanted to, figure out how sharp just, safety razors are, and I touched the blade of it with my thumb. Yeah, that was a lot of blood.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, experience is the best teacher. So
that doesn't kill you, which will just probably make you hurt for a long time.
So I want to see if you want to do this for next week. I'd like to try and get Alan Morgan of Innovum to come on and talk to us about his 3D printer stuff. You want to have him on next week?
Yeah, we should. I didn't get like I said, I didn't get a chance to be on with you when you originally had him on. So,
well, I'll tell you. Since then, I've spoken with him a couple of times, and I've actually picked up some 3D printed products, and one of those things was the firearms, the grips for your 1911, and those should be arriving to you sometime this week. I think I sent you the tracking number, which, hooray, I went to the post office.
That's more than I've been able to do.
But, like since then, I've picked up a couple of things from him, and it's a concept that is just, it's bubbling at the back of my brain constantly since, my discussion with him, and, getting into certain other projects and trying, I can totally see where, wow, I'd totally like to have a 3D printer right now because I got this thing and I'd like to have a scanner and scan this and build my thing, and in the morning it'd be done. So yeah, I think it'd kind of be good to have another discussion with him. You can bring a different perspective to it, and I'd really like him to pimp his ideas because I kind of believe in what he's talking about, and I think I'm actually going to utilize his services fairly soon here for something I've kind of got a design for.
Yeah, well, that should be interesting. So we have a celebrity. Where are they now? That I want to drop on you.
Oh well, let us give me the TMZ update.
Okay, so think back to like 1987, 88, 89. Do you remember MC Hammer?
I can.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I can.
Yes. The man with the hammer pants. Yeah, he is now doing the command, strip hooks so that you could like place things on walls. He is hawking those. I just got a pop-up ad on my news feed. So,
Well, you know, if we're going to go down the celebrity path here, which is something we rarely do on this show, and
yeah.
special shout out to my favorite celebrity, Lena Dunham.
Oh my goodness,
Gotta
she
give
ain't
a
left
shout
yet.
out to
She ain't left yet.
the Canadians won't take her.
Jesus Christ.
I gotta give a special moment and a couple seconds of silence for Colonel Andrew Tanner, the United States Air Force, who passed away, and I mean Powers Booth. And by Colonel Andrew Tanner, I'm referring to his role in Red Dawn.
Red Dawn.
And
Yeah.
his
And
immortal
also,
line.
yeah, go ahead. There used to be however many screaming Chinamen, right?
Right, the 600 million screaming Chinamen, and shoot straight for once, you army pukes. So,
Yeah, well, so I'd like to give a different take on it because Powers Booth also played Curly Bill Brochus on Tombstone, and I think his epitaph should read, "Well, bye."
bye. Yeah. See what else?
But I still think, you know,
Bunch
some
of good gun movies. He was
so
in
not only he was in, you know, Southern Comfort, but I think
oh yeah,
yeah,
that's
so
a good.
one of the things that I think you and I will most appreciate him for was his portrayal of saloon owner Cy Tolliver in Deadwood.
Yeah, absolutely. You damn hoople headed.
You hoople head, dirt worshiper, celestial.
I'll tell you what, that Deadwood on HBO had to have some of the dirtiest, best dialogue that I've ever heard. And I think the only thing that even comes remotely close to it was the remake of True Grit. I thought the remake of True Grit and the dialogue in Deadwood were some of the best stuff I've seen in a while. And yeah. But Deadwood, oh Christ!
You know, think about if they would have done. Think about if they would have done a second series.
Music.
Yeah, if they would have done a second season of Deadwood, that would have been great.
Oh, if they'd have finished it off. Supposedly I heard they're making a Deadwood movie, and I totally can't wait to pirate that because I am not giving no money to the Hollywood merchant.
No, sir.
By the way, have you noticed that now it's okay to talk about the Chinese owning Hollywood? But like a year ago, it was totally not kosher to talk about.
Oh yeah, and not only that, the new Red Dawn had to have their folks change from being Chinese PLA soldiers taking over to being North Koreans at Sony's insistence after having met with Chinese investors.
Right. So yeah. So we're all safe. The merchant no longer controls Hollywood. It's now in Chang's hands. So we can talk about it again.
There you go. So yeah, I think I missed out on turkey season. You know, moving does that. So we had turkey season end up. I didn't get anything. I didn't get a chance to really go out. But there is a spring squirrel in some spots still. And that's a good chance for you to get your 22, your 17 HMR, your 22 Hornet, maybe your 22 short, your 22 long, and your 22 long rifle out there. Give them little tree rats a little bit of love.
I'll tell you what, and if you got the chance and you see the 22 long rifle, you might as well stock up on it because, hell, it's going to happen again. I got pure faith in the fact that there will always be panic buying.
Oh, certainly. Well, we give a little love out to our listeners out there, that especially the ones in chat. But take us out of here,
Nick. It's been wonderful. I got to give a shout out to Julie, CCY, everybody. Drop her a couple of shekels and do it.
What patriots